Hi, hello, salutations. Discussions about the new DCU Batman or who should portray him are popping up every week. For the record, my money's on Jake Gyllenhaal. I think it would be funny, but also I'd feel like he'd be a great fit for a mature Batman whose darker years are behind. Jake Gyllenhaal also just happens to be my favorite actor of all time. You know what other actor I'm infatuated with? Cameron Monaghan. Who has he played in the past? The Joker, sort of. Great segue, I know! I don't know what Gunn is exactly planning with Salvation, but in the comics, the Joker has quite the role in there. And I don't know if we'll meet every villain that will be on this planet by the time Salvation Run comes out, like we're collecting the Infinity Stones, but with the villains involved in this movie. But whether true or not, we have no certainty on seeing the Joker in there somewhere. When you think about it, every live-action Joker adaptation since Cesar Romero had their own thing going on, and suffice to say, none were comic accurate, with varying levels of ties with their comic counterparts. That means that if we are to get a DCU Batman by 2028, it will have been 60 whole ass years since we've had a comic accurate Joker on screen. Tantrums aside, we're not even sure if a Joker will appear in The Brave and the Bold, working title for DCU Batman, but with James Gunn's handling of characters, the comic accuracy of a character is generally up to a coin toss, mostly in favor of the writing, but still. Even then, Brave and the Bold will have its own director, and since we don't have one yet, we don't have a track record to blabber about. Status report on the objective? We have not one fuck of a clue as to whether we will finally eat good or not with a DCU Joker, but I sure hope so. Over the years, we've had multiple Joker who were brave enough to break some rules, revealing who he was or just making him totally another character that's barely recognizable as the Joker through design only. Yes, Heath's performance was phenomenal. Yes, he portrayed a superb character. That wasn't the Joker though, and I hold my case. There are too many differences between his performance and what a Joker should be. I still love his performance though. You can have nuanced opinions. Not even bothering with Joker's take, it's safe to say this approach towards a greedier Joker in greedier Batman stories left their mark on the comics world through the indefinable power of brand synergy. Directors had their own take of the Joker. These takes ended up having long-time effects on the character and he has suffered greatly. What was once the most entertaining fool in town became a parody of itself, which ironically enough isn't a tiny bit funny anymore. The original appeal of the character got bastardized into this predictable, dark and sometimes edgy character that has plot armor on par with Batman. That's a hard task. He literally has plot armor against dying in the last DC story. Anyway, and every other appearance has him as the biggest threat around. Now, casuals might only see this problem now, but comic readers have had it for a long time, and having refreshing Joker stories has been noticeably hard recently. Absolute has an interesting case, but it strays way past what we've had before. So now I beg whatever director ends up inheriting DCU Batman to make a legitimate, comic-accurate take on the Joker, who's more aligned with the Bronze Age of comics or early Golden Age of the comics. Now, you might think this would be lazy or lacking some sort of artistic obligation that an adaptation has to build upon the foundation it's given, and while yes, I do not need everything on the following list to be true, I think people also forget how brave and new this kind of Joker would be to the general audience. To deviate from the edge would need a heavy pair of balls, but could also put one of the most popular characters of all time back on tracks, after a series of downgrades, the likes of which have led to a Joker fatigue, well earned by the way. Yes, having a Joker that follows these characteristics would be great. What would be greater is to have a Joker drought for a few years and then come back with all of those. But it would finally get the general audience a taste of what a perfect Joker should be in the hopes of healing his reputation and also maybe the way comics treat him now. Simple reminder that I don't need everything on this list to be true, but man, would it be cool if most of it is. Without further ado, let's see what the Maniac has to be made of to be worthy of a proper live action Joker.
To start off as well, I do not have a fancast to propose, and I wouldn't like to base all of this on a fancast anyway. So whatever, Mark Hamill's too old to play him now, I'm not gonna cast a cosplayer either, and I'm not too knowledgeable on Hollywood actors, so who knows. I'm not gonna base it on that. Now, if one of the first words that comes to mind when you think of the Joker is not funny, what? The Joker's actual humor is a good bit of his appeal. Take that away and it's not the Joker anymore. Heath only throws a few jokes during The Dark Knight. This guy is not funny for 95% of his screen time. I can think of precisely one moment when he made me laugh. Joaquin's characterization is also fundamentally unfunny, as this is an actual part of the story. Why? Why take away the jokes from the Joker? Now, most of all of what I'm going to blabber about here has been done spectacularly not too long ago in the Arkham games, and the Joker tickled me fancy regularly in these. Making a funny Joker doesn't take away anything of his menace. I beg of you, make him funny. Make him say goofy stuff. Make him act foolish. The Joker, if done right, has a way of looking at things and making the most unhinged commentary you can think of, and snarking while the joke bounces off Batman like a brick wall is essential to how we view their dynamic. Now, Heath Ledger's performance was comic accurate in a few areas, very few, but the mystery aspect was done well. Giving the Joker an origin story has sort of become a trend, to the point where DC kept spooling the but we don't know how he came about, and anytime it's referenced, it's just a killing joke. Every time. We're just pretending it isn't canon at this point, and that's a nuance I'd like to add to this. The mystery around the Joker shouldn't be a focus. You shouldn't know where he comes from, and maybe you can slide a few hints, but really, the story shouldn't bother itself with its origins. Let it stay a background mystery, never resolved, and not point at it every 12 seconds like, hey, remember how we don't know where this fool comes from? The Dark Knight leaned into the mystery a bit too much, but not enough for me to complain about. A little less would do more in my opinion. These days, the Joker's always framed as Batman's ultimate big bad, but that's actually a recent development. He was always the most popular, but not the definitive nemesis. This whole yin-yang thing, barely 20 years old, and returning to a simpler time where Joker was a force equal to the other villains would do well to alleviate this Joker fatigue. He's not the be-all and all of Batman. Frankly, every of his villain is a mirror to something. Why is Joker so focused on then? All of his crime bodies reflect Batman too, just in other ways. Also, threatening Gotham every other plan is old. Not every single appearance must come with the grandest scheme of them all. Reserve that for special occasions. The Joker kinda sees his crime scenes as dates anyway. He's just playing with Batman. City-wide emergencies happen, but man, were they rare. It's far more interesting for the character for his schemes to be driven rather than bringing an apocalypse for the 100th time this year. The Joker is silly. He has goofy antics. He's naked without a bit of tomfoolery, and the mix between the silliness and grittiness is what makes him entertaining in the first place. As an extension of that, I'd also like a Joker with bleached skin back. We haven't had that since Jack Nicholson. I almost forgot Jared Leto. I just remembered him. Fuck. Yes, give us bleached skin Joker with makeup on top and a colorful suit. We've had so many adaptations tiptoeing around this. Let him look like the character he's supposed to be, damn it! Now, every Batman villain knows something about Batman on a deeper level. Two-Face and Scarecrow both have an interesting relationship with him, and the Joker also has knowledge about Batman, but it's limited. For long, we've seen a Joker who apparently knows Bruce more than anyone, and even if he's delusional about it, the Joker actually only has an area of expertise like the other villains. He challenges Bruce in his own personal way, but in no way are they soulmates or something. Like sometimes the Joker is just delusional, sometimes he's not, that's just what they're trying to do. This generally leads to what can only be called torture porn, where the Joker just goes the extra mile to almost break Batman again and again and again, and that's tiring and edgy, to be honest. Save for big occasions, the stakes of the Joker should be both goofy and terrifying, like a slapstick come to life. The big mullet actually being heavy enough to crush someone, for example, the absurd caught in situations that are life-threatening. This is why seeing the Joker in action is so fun. He's good at his job, sure, but he'll make you look ridiculous as you get taken care of. This is really negative thus far. This isn't me. What do I like about the recent Joker? The regenerative factor is fun. It's not like Deadpool level, but that explains how he can leave Arkham so often and how he isn't dead from repeated skirmishes with Batman. It also lets him fake his death, which is always fun. I'm not against a Joker that can regenerate, and that's a fun twist. That also lets him be a good and unpredictable fighter and not Batman level. The clown is not on par with a man who's trained for 10 years in every combat style there ever was. The regeneration allows him to simply be a good fighter who can take a lot of punishment to push Batman around. And yeah, Joker has been trained recently in the comics as part of his new origin story, and that's just not it. He's just a prodigy who's dangerous because you can't predict what he'll throw next. That's his thing. He is not trained. I'll let you go with his military background, but in this case, just hint at it. No need to confirm or make him uncharacteristically good at hand-to-hand. Sometimes the Joker is a good opponent, and sometimes he's just dumb, and that's okay. He can be outsmarted, not by everyone, but he has such a way of looking at things that he can be forgetful or not take everything into account. Plus, he is very easy to taunt. Joker as the supreme master manipulator is not how he should usually be. Now, I like how the Joker can act differently on a day-to-day basis. A lot of stories flirt with the idea that the goofy Joker and the greedy Joker are just how his psyche acts and adapts day to day, being a part of his unpredictability. And if you want him to sometimes be a master manipulator, more power to you. But this isn't a character trait that he regularly has. He's also not the king of Gotham's underworld. He has his own operation alongside the Penguin and Two-Face, and that's more fun this way because of the push and pull this creates. Horror is also something Joker stories are not afraid to explore. In fact, every good Joker is a little scary. Horror-like segments are welcome, as long as it doesn't overstate its welcome or becomes torture porn. Again, Batman still needs to get some victory out of this after all, and it's pretty cemented that one of the things that made the Joker special is that Batman can't save him. There is nothing to salvage in the Joker, and he doesn't want to be rehabilitated anyway. So Batman needs to find success in saving innocence from the Joker. So even if he leaves a trail of bodies behind him, there should always be something Batman can prevent. Now, Harley Quinn is in a weird spot when it comes to DCU canon, and honestly, I don't really care about her inclusion. I wouldn't mind having the toxic relationship between the two well made on the big screen for once, but if they want to make something special with Harley, which they tend to do nowadays, she's never adapted the same way, weirdly enough, then I don't mind. The Joker can lose control of her, that's an interesting thing to explore. Plus, the Joker is allowed to simply not be involved in anything. If he exists in the world but isn't involved in Brain and the Bold, I would love that. Shows restraint. And since the DCU is more fantastical in nature, it's also good to remind that it makes Joker more vulnerable than other adaptations. There are things that he can't fight, monsters, deities on Wonder Woman's level. Safe from any schemes aimed at gaining more power, he should remain street here. Just focusing on the next scheme, not dwelling on the past, and waiting for the right time to have another date with Batman Dearest. But the most important thing that you need to include and get right for, finally, a comic accurate Joker on the big screen is a Joker fish. And I'm not kidding. That's such a silly part of his kit and embodies the Joker very well in my opinion. I need to see him use Joker fishes at some point! It's been 60 years. 60 years without the Joker that laughs, schemes and leaves Gotham with both a bruise and a punchline. We don't need another edgy clown with a sad backstory. We need the guy who robs a bank with a giant fish, disappears in a puff of smoke, and leaves Batman questioning his life choices. So, what's your Joker? I've been rambling, but what do you want to see in the Joker, in the DCU, if you even want him to appear? The goofy menace, the scheming trickster, the horror clown, they aren't mutually exclusive, but if you've made it this far, you should have guessed by now that I love poking at the stories we've left drift too far from their roots, and there's more to come. So, if storytelling and character dissections are your thing, stick around. This has been We Need a Comic Accurate Joker by the Mayor. See ya. Goodbye. farewell. And having a refreshing Joker story, and having refreshing Damn!